everybody. This is Joanne Eisen with Reach the Unlimited. I am here for another edition of my weekly show, and I want to thank you all for being here and joining us today on this show. I would love to welcome my guest today, Denise Manns. Whoops, one day I'm going to get this all. Denise Manns, who is a lovely human being, a friend of mine, and is awesome with so many different things. But one of her fortes is color. And I'm really big on color as well and how important it is in our life in so many different ways. So Denise is going to come and share this hour with us and talk to us about color and the importance of color in our life. Thank you for being here, Denise.
Well, thank you for having me. This will be fun.
I'm very excited. So talk to me a little bit about the vibration of color, because we had started the conversation off on that. So talk to me a little bit about the vibration of color.
Well, everything is vibration. We are vibration.
Mm-hmm.
And everything around us is vibration. So music, sound is vibration, color is vibration. We are basically, human beings are like a rainbow. We're crystalline in structure. And so we resonate to frequency. And color vibrates at varying frequencies. So you have red, which is the shortest frequency. And then you have at the other end of the visible spectrum, the good old, if anyone remembers Roy G. Biv, the red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. You learned that in school. Violet at the other end of the spectrum is the longest of the vibration and the frequencies.
Mm-hmm.
So each color has its own frequency, its own vibration.
Mm-hmm.
And within that, we have in our bodies different areas. Some people call them chakras, energy centers, vortexes. I mean, there's all kinds of different names, whatever anybody wants to call them. And scientifically, it's been shown that there are areas of the body that have a stronger, more condensed vibration. And those are, you can equate those to color. And our parts of our bodies resonate more to different colors. And the vibration, it's really not so much about the color itself, it's about the vibration of the color, the frequency of the color. So even if you were to use sound as your tool, it's really about the frequency. It's about the vibration. Color just happens to be a wonderful way to play with vibration and frequency because it's just fun. It's super fun. And it's just pleasant. I mean, I fill my world with color. I might have white walls, but I do splashes of color with everything. And, you know,
it brings joy to us. I mean, it's a visual thing, and we are very visual people.
Yeah, exactly.
So, of course, color is going to play a big part in our life.
Right. So the idea with color is, I mean, it's, since I started doing research, color was like, color what? What? I mean, you know, people just, they know color exists, but they don't know that the vibration of color is healing. It's powerful. There's the field of color therapy, and there's the field of, well, the study of color biology, color theory. I know I'm missing one. I have to pull up my slides so I can have some kind of a guideline. Otherwise, my brain goes all over.
Would you like me to pull the slides? We do have our presentation here, so.
Yeah, we can play with that a little. We may not follow it exactly, but we can at least have it.
Okay. To sharing my screen. Hold on. I'm going to share my screen. This is a first for us, you guys. So.
Oh, fine. I see it. Yay.
So the healing with color.
Yeah, and that's, I could just kind of flip through those. So basically, even, oh, is this the old one?
Is that the old one? Hold on. We have two, so.
Sorry.
That's okay.
That's too much.
We should have.
Yeah, there we go. That one will work. Oh, I can't play with it.
Okay, so tell me, I know, really.
My yellow control wants to, like,
I know.
give me the buttons.
Wait a minute. Okay, so which was the.
Okay, so we got sidetracked a little.
Yes, we did.
Okay, there we go. That's okay. This is good. This is good. So I'll kind of just backtrack a little bit.
Okay.
Bring a little more organization into this.
Okay.
Visible spectrum. The visible spectrum is the red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. Although indigo was kind of kicked out, but that's a whole nother discussion, because it's really the least visible in the visible spectrum. It's the most difficult. It's so anyway, but there's a whole bunch of science behind the whole indigo thing, and we won't go there today. But so it's really not Reggie Biv anymore. It's kind of like Reggie Boo. Poor kids in school have to learn something new. But anyway, light is the only energy we can see, and we see it in the form of color. So basically, colors are wavelengths of electromagnetic energy that we perceive through our eyes visually. And I talked about the wavelengths of energy vibrating at different speeds and different frequencies. And I talked about red being the longest. Oh, wait, I think I did that backwards. Red, I said, was the shortest. Red is the longest and the strongest. Violet is the shortest and the weakest of energy waves. And everything that absorbs all color, all wavelengths, is reflects to us as black. We perceive it as black. And all things that reflect all the wavelengths of color, we perceive as white. So white is basically all the colors of the spectrum, the visible spectrum joined together. And that's just all about that. And I can't move this, so you'll have to kind of scroll it down for me, and we'll see if it's relevant or not. And just talking about the use of color and vibration with us, it was a kind of a metaphysical thing, and that's where I was originally going with that, is that back when I started doing my research back about 2005, nobody really knew about this. Now color has permeated everywhere. Shortly after I started my research, it was just a few years later, I saw this on the front of a magazine. I'm going to pull some stuff up, and I don't know if you can see this.
Oh, look at how beautiful that is.
Okra.
That is cool.
All the colors in the visible spectrum, and then a couple she added. But it's amazing, and color is everywhere. And you were talking about how we, that it's fun and that we resonate with color. We see color everywhere. We're basically, we're flooded with color, but we don't really have a clue of what it's actually doing. And some of us, we will pick certain clothes based on color. I mean, who does it, right?
And we have ones that we like and ones that we don't.
Exactly. And anyway, so the concept of color therapy is the use of color for well-being. So we can blow past this. We'll probably blow past a lot of these. I just kind of wanted to backtrack and give a little background. Color therapy has all kinds of different names. It can be light therapy, phototherapy, chromotherapy. Doesn't matter what you call it. It's color and it's therapeutic.
And they're all, because color actually can make us feel. Like when we see certain colors, we actually feel it.
Absolutely. And actually that can be based on a lot of different things too. It can be based, our perception of color can actually be based on genetics. It can be based on the location that we live in. It can be geographically based. It can be based on experiences. If you had an experience as a child with a particular color and it was a negative experience, you might hold on to that color as stay away from that color. It's horrible. It has a negative effect, when in reality, the vibration of that color probably has an incredible effect for you. But perception is reality. Perception is everything. So it's kind of funny how that can play in.
Yes.
To our perception.
We can also be influenced by our parents in color choices as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Quite often.
Yeah, and so it makes color confusing when you look at it from that perspective, because it's like, well, but I don't like blue. You're telling me I need blue. So there's something to that too. So color therapy can be with all kinds of different things, all kinds of modalities. And what I love is that, again, since I started my research in color, it's just gone crazy. I mean, I see commercials and it's all about color. You go into stores and it's all about color, and you'll see 20 different colors now for one pair of the same pants or the same shirt, and there'll be literally a rainbow of color choices for one product. And if you think about going into a toy store for kids, kids are highly sensitive to everything, let alone the vibration of color. And so it's no surprise that marketing for kids and now adults has become a big deal. And there's a lot of research behind the use of color that is used in marketing and advertising now. It's pretty amazing. And it's really, it's mostly the past decade that this has really become a big deal.
Yeah, I would say, especially when it comes to people understanding how color can affect us. And that's where they really started realizing that you can use that now in a way of marketing, because you're going to influence people in a very subtle way that they're not even aware of, that they're being influenced by the colors that are chosen.
There was a great article I read, and it talked about, I'm trying to think of the name of the woman. Her last name was Augustine. Augustine. I'm trying to recall her name. It'll come to me. But she's a researcher. She has her own business. I'd like to acknowledge people so people can, look up information if they want. And she teaches people how to work with color in business. And it's pretty fascinating. I mean, so if you have a business and you want people to do something, if you want a particular outcome, you can use different colors. Even if you want somebody to perceive, for example, a room to be warmer than it might really be, you can use one of the warmer tones of yellow, orange, or red, although typically rooms aren't yellow. Yellow can make people a little anxious. But that's a whole nother thing. So just use of color on a larger scale.
Sorry, keep interrupting. You bring up a good point with the anxious, because even hospitals and doctors' offices understand the color as well. And so you have rooms that are painted in certain colors or decorated in certain colors to keep us calm as well.
Maybe more in the blue tones, because those are calming, more calming tones. Green tones that tend to be more healing. I think the two most favorite colors when I was doing my research were green and blue, that people typically would gravitate towards green or blue in terms of soothing colors.
The other thing that I find very interesting that I've noticed, even in subconscious ways, we'll gravitate to colors that are reflective of whatever our mood is, or how we're feeling, or maybe sometimes even what we're trying to work for. And we don't even realize that we're doing that as well, either in the clothes that we're wearing, or, maybe we're doing an art project and we're picking certain colors. There's so many different ways that we're influenced by color.
Yeah, and there are a couple theories behind that. One is that you can choose a color because you're lacking that color in your makeup. You need the frequency of that color for some reason. You're lacking in that color. And another premise is that it could be an indication of something that is already going on with you, and it's kind of trying to highlight, bring that to the forefront, because color can also color matches up with, it can be matched with different ailments in the body, different areas of the body that might have some affliction going on. We're being kind of general today because I really, with our short time, didn't want to get into, we won't get into too many crazy specifics, but unless it's
no, I agree with that. I'm sorry, I realized I don't have my recording going. My brain went into a different direction. But that's I'll get it off of here.
So with this one, this particular slide, back when I was starting to do my research, as I mentioned, it was just not out there. And it was just something that even still today, there are scientists, researchers, doctors that will say, oh, well, don't go see a chiropractor because that's not a good thing. And yet the evidence behind chiropractic is amazing. Pretty much anything that isn't mainstream allopathic medicine, and I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with mainstream allopathic medicine at all, but when you're looking from different perspectives, there's always going to be somebody who's a naysayer and find, something wrong. And sometimes now there is a lot more scientific evidence to back up the concepts of color and energy work and frequency. I mean, there's actual scientific research that's been done, especially again, as I mentioned, in the last decade. But we're getting more and more. I mean, there are studies that are being funded that are amazing, that have strictly to do with the metaphysical, with energy and frequency, which wasn't happening before. So there's a lot less of the questioning of it being, oh, is this just a pseudoscience? Is this a quack therapy? Is this not for real? And it's just fun to watch the progression of how that's changing. And I think the people who are doing the research in color theory, in color psychology, and in color biology are bringing so much new information to the forefront. And again, it's all happening now.
It is, yeah. And I think that's going to only help us in the future and how to be better at doing a lot of things, like teachers being able to, I think, help the students, or in the medical field in how to help healing, because they have the technology and they're developing the technology now where they can actually see it. They actually are seeing the changes that are happening.
Yeah, so when I was a counselor in a middle school, there was a woman I worked with that I sought out. She did something, I want to say it's called Irlen color. I'll have to look that one up, because again, this is kind of, we're doing this off the cuff. IRLEN. But they had overlays that they created, and they worked with students with disabilities or worked with students that needed help in learning how to focus, and they helped you to figure out, kids who are ADD or ADHD. They had techniques with these color overlays that were phenomenal to help. If you needed a little bit more focus, you might use a yellow overlay. If you were looking to bring more calm in while they're reading, you might put a blue overlay. It really cool stuff. And, I referred some parents to it, and they brought it in for their kids. And again, it's the same thing. Some people would jump right in and try anything because they just wanted to help their kids. The results were phenomenal. And so, it made it more fun too. The kids were like, oh, I need my overlays. And I had teachers who were allowing the kids to bring them into the classroom and use them while they read and did things.
That's something that needs to be, I think, taught to teachers, because that's really important. And I know it's new and it's still being worked on and, examined and all that, but color makes a huge difference. But explain what an overlay is. What are you talking about?
So basically a transparency, in the old days, I don't know if anybody does transparencies anymore, but it was a clear sheet of plastic, that was tinted. So if you, for example, like if you were looking through a pair of glasses, and let's just say your lenses were tinted, and they would actually do that. They had that as a service, that they would take glasses and they would tint them to different colors of the visible spectrum. For example, maybe yellow. I would say the yellow, green, and blue would be the three that would have been most utilized.
Interesting.
And then, of course, you can actually go online and find color therapy glasses of all the different visible spectrum colors, which is kind of fun. So, but as far as educational use, there are tools out there. I mean, the yellow highlighter, think about the concept of a yellow highlighter. Why do we grab a highlighter? Because we want to focus on a particular word or sentence. Yellow is the color of focus.
Right.
So it makes total sense.
But there's two sides. Like when you said that, I was thinking of a stop sign. When you see a stop sign, that's important. You need to stop. This is like emergency. This is like pay attention.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I love that. I love that you brought up the red with stop emergency, because the red does work with that.
Right.
But there's a funny story behind the whole red, the stop sign, the stop light, actually. The red stop sign is great. Stop, red, emergency. That connects psychologically. But when there was a story that I read when I was doing some of my reading on color, and it talked about this, when the lights came out, the red, the green, and then the yellow or orange. They were trying to decide what to do about the middle one. Well, red in color theory and color concept is a color of go. it's not a color of stop. It's a color of go, 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 go. And so that's the energy. It's a doing color. It's a moving color, right?
Yeah.
And then green is a more of a, oh, chill out. Let's chill. Let's stop. Let's slow down color. So the research pointed to people having difficulty when stoplights came out because they were confused psychologically with the actual vibration of the color. It was kind of a funny thing, I guess, when they first came out, that there were some difficulties in people knowing when to stop and when to go. And I think obviously it's something new anyway when it first came out.
Yeah.
But it kind of went against the whole red green. Now we just know it's automatic and we have it programmed into our heads.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, that's funny that you mentioned that.
Because that's an interesting subject. If you talk about colors, there's not just one meaning to them. There's a duality, right? Everything is a duality. So what would be some interesting dualities, or how could you explain that in the word of color to people?
Okay.
I mean, I know that's a broad question. How about in the way like, okay.
Yeah. So if I was to take, let's say, the color yellow. Again, I keep going back to yellow. I must have something. Yeah, I have something with yellow. So
well, you have a yellow bowl behind you, so it's
I do.
It's right off your shoulder.
Yeah. But anyway, so if you take the color of yellow, is a color of power, empowerment, self-empowerment. But in the negative shadow side, if you have too much of a vibration, too much of a frequency, so in the case of too much yellow, I would want to paint my bedroom yellow, because yellow can also be a color of anxiety. So that would be the negative side. That would be the polar side, the duality side.
Yes.
So it is about balancing. Trying to think of some other great examples off the top of my head.
So let's say that you had a room that was painted yellow. How would you tone that down into something that wouldn't just cause anxiety? Like you would add, what would be a color that would be good to add with that too?
Well, I mean, the complementary color to yellow is purple, but I wouldn't still probably want a room that's yellow and purple. There's just so much vibrational energy going on, because purple is such a high frequency color, and yellow is such a fire color. It's such an energizing color. So I would say change the color and pick a muted color, paler. You could put white in it to tone it down, like, which really white is bringing in all the colors of the spectrum. It's reflecting off all those colors, but I would tone it down and go something lighter. Now, yellow in a kitchen, sunny, bubbly, fun. Orange in the kitchen is supposed to stimulate appetite. Orange is associated with appetite. So, I think interior designers probably have a lot more knowledge in their repertoire than I would have with room colors, paint colors, and that would be a place where I would go if I would interview someone and seek out that information.
Well, I think it's important for people to know in any area of life, if you have too much, like one of the things that I was always amazed at is sometimes you can be attracted to a certain crystal, like let's say amethyst. And so you wear a lot of purples, or you wear a lot of purples with amethyst, or, you can oversaturate yourself as well and physically feel it when you have too much of one thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So and I could get into, I guess, a little bit more on the downside. Let's go with that purple for a minute. Let's see. I'm just trying to think of what I could bring in that would have, I have some great stuff that I just kind of like drawing a blank right now. It sounds terrible. That each color just has its, if you overkill on yellow, you can become kind of fanatical with purple if you have too much purple, actually. Obsessive, it would be a great word for someone with too much purple. And I tend to gravitate towards purple, so I have to be careful. Become crazy obsessive.
Well, explain what purple actually is. Isn't purple all of the colors in that one color? The spectrum is in purple.
Well, that would be white. More, I would say white. Violet is at the top of the spectrum. Let's see. Let me see what I can tell you about violet. Well, violet resonates to the crown chakra, the higher self, more spirituality. It resonates to the pineal gland. Pineal gland is your gland that is activated for with melatonin through for sleeping. It's your circadian rhythm color, let's say, if you wanted to give it an equivalent of a gland. So if you're out of balance with violet, you could potentially not be sleeping well. So, and I've already gotten myself so distracted that I actually forgot your original question. I'm trying to think of what I could bring into this.
Well, I think that the main point to that is maybe stop and ask yourself what's going on if you're overly doing a color. If you're like putting too much on, or you're gravitated to a certain color, you need to
what is it about that color?
Yeah, what's about that?
So it's maybe there's a lesson in that color for you that you know, like the color of violet is really a color of spirituality. It's a color of higher vibration, higher frequency. You know, it's a connection to our own higher self, maybe.
Color can also be reflective of health issues as well.
Yeah.
If you're having health issues in your, like foods also are, I love foods when I talk to people about nutrition, to eat the color of the rainbow. Eat the color of the rainbow, you'll be in good shape.
Yeah, there's a lovely book and it's called The Rainbow Diet.
I love that. I have not heard of that.
It's really great. The Rainbow Diet. And we're kind of bouncing around here, but this is how I knew this would go today. So let me just grab something real quick for you.
I'm going to look that one up. I haven't read that book.
Yeah. Let's see. The Rainbow Diet. I was going to try to give you a name.
That's okay. I'll look it up.
It's really great.
Any of you are interested, I'll put it in the chat too, the information on that book. Right. And I see there's people on here. So if you guys have any questions, please put it in the chat. I have it open and I'm watching.
Yeah. And you know, at the beginning, you had given me a lot of credit for color is something that I love. Yes. And I actually did a lot of research back about 15 years ago for about a good solid 5 years. And I just lived and breathed, you know, color, everything color. And I think there was a point at which I needed to step back from just the research piece of it and just really start to understand and feel color. And at that point, I started doing collages because I needed to start integrating. Yeah, there's some examples there, and we can just bounce around to that. That's just an example of kids. But yeah, so I started playing with color, and you can kind of get a real quick snapshot of what each color is. I mean, obviously the colors are right on the collages, but I brought in words. A word can represent a color.
Like I like that one here, sacred.
Yeah, so this is violet. It's an inspirational color. It's a color of leadership, but so is red. So there's an overlap also. Not just one color means one thing. You can have overlap, and that, you know, you start to go, whoa, this is so dizzying. There's so much information here, and you know, I want just one color to mean one thing, and it's not that way. It's not that way because of, again, what we talked about before, our life, our perceptions, the experiences we bring. And it mostly really falls on perception. So there's a difference with how we perceive color and what the true vibration of color is that the color brings to us. So there's a a little bit of a mix there. And this was just a random one. I just started playing with color.
Well, I like what you said though about there's very
Yeah.
degrees of color, because it's very rare, very hard to get a true color, right? Of
Yeah.
the primary colors. So that's what our whole world is a mixture of, though, is all of these
Yeah.
different colors, and they all affect us in different ways.
Yeah. If we were to look at this slide, and I was using these for a presentation that I had done back a while back. This particular one, if I was to look at this and ask people, okay, what color is this about? Tell me, and somebody could give me 3 different colors for this, although there is one that's more predominant that speaks to me. When I look at these words, I see one particular color. But then I can say, oh, well, I see a couple colors in here. So, and looking at this, I would be curious what people would get from that. Like, oh, well, I don't know what color that means. What's independence all about? What's attitude? What's preparation, persistence, self-doubt,
Right.
and self-doubt, reflection, digestive system.
Oh,
so
that's a big one. That pops out at me like crazy, because that's
yes, and this is yellow. This would represent primarily yellow, but you could bring in other things. You could bring in indigo with the attitude. You could bring in independence, could be red, but yellow is the color of empowerment. It's about self. It's about power. If I was to give one word to yellow, I would probably pick power.
Wow.
So it's just something you play with. But in each of the slides that I did, in each of the collages, and I had a group and we all collaged, and it was fun to see how everybody created their collages and what they involved and how they explained the color behind each collage. Like this. Yeah.
So you're talking about yellow being the color of empowerment, the power. People usually look at red as being the color of anger, aggression.
Yeah.
What would the all facets of a red color be? I know that's a big one because people use red a lot.
Yeah. Well, a lot of times people will say, red is a passionate color. It's a color of passion. It's really a color of invigorating. It's a color of lighting the fire, red and fire, but also yellow is the color of fire. Fire is the symbol for yellow, actually, but we think of fire. I think, red and orange and yellow when I think fire, right? Did you see all those different colors?
Yeah.
But they are all, a color that would do that. So, but yeah, red is also, though, a grounding color. Red is basically all about, if I had to give one word to red, I would give it security. It's really about safety, security, stability. It's about being connected. Funny enough, we think of earth and we think green and we think brown, but red is really the color of the root chakra. It's the color of grounding, stabilizing. It's your base.
That's a good point. We haven't really talked about that, but we have all the colors of the rainbow in our chakras. So that can really tell you about what those colors actually mean by where it is in the chakra.
Right? Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Your chakras.
Absolutely. Yeah. Red, your base.
Right.
Grounding. And then you go up into the sacral chakra. Well, the sacral chakra is really a complicated one. It's a lot about pleasure, passion, and we think of red as a passion color. Well, it can be, but it's a different kind of passion. It's more of a tribal passion. It's more of a connected to yourself, your physical body. Whereas the sacral chakra, the second, orange, the color of orange is more of a social color. It's more of a connected to, it's a creative energy. It's connected to emotions. And again, I'm kind of doing a bouncing thing here, but orange is more of a color of passion with desire.
Yes.
Than red, although red is portrayed most frequently as the color of love, hearts, passion.
Yes. Romance.
So there's an overlap again there. And again, that's because in some parts marketing In some parts, our perception, and none of those are wrong. That's why it can be a little confusing.
Yeah.
But again, perception of a color, there's no wrong.
No, there's not.
Yeah.
It's funny when you think about it, a child young, I think intuitively would make a heart red when they're colored.
Oh,
I don't know why
absolutely.
it is, but that you just do. You don't even think about it. You think your heart is red when actually, if you looked at your heart, it wouldn't be. It's more of a brownishy color,
Yeah.
which would be very grounding. So it's interesting how I guess perception can play a big part in the way that we react and feel or see color. Again,
Oh.
going back on your childhood beliefs, your education, your experiences, all of those things.
Yeah, so that's an interesting one too. One of the things that I read was an article. Again, it was I have to pull up these names. I'm drawing name blanks today. But the article, and if anyone wants any of this information, I can look it up and give them names. That's a quick fix for me. I'm trying not to get stuck on details anymore. And not details, I shouldn't say that. That's a terrible thing to say. I try not to get stuck on the fact. No, that's a bad word too. I try not to get stuck on
Preconceived ideas of what things.
Data. I'm trying not to just get stuck on data, and having a list of information and having it's the information has a place, but it's more the concept behind it that's
right.
More. Anyway, the premise here is the girl had a perception of blue. Her perception of blue was anxiety. Blue was an awful thing. And it was because she had to take a blue allergy pill when she was a kid. The pill was blue. I don't think I've seen a lot of blue pills, but I guess blue pills are out there.
Yeah.
But at the time, her pill for allergy medicine was blue. Okay. So when she saw blue, she got anxious because she hated taking the pill.
Yeah.
Well, blue, quite on the contrary, is a color. It's a sedating color. It's a relaxing and calming.
Yeah, it is.
And cooling color. Mm-hmm. And yet her perception was totally different than what the actual vibration of that color is. Mm-hmm. So again, like you said, it's perception.
It's perception, but there are still things that are more concrete, such as I think that like our auras have color around us. Those don't, well, auras actually can change, but I guess, yeah, your aura can change depending
all the time. I mean, it could change in a minute. It can change in 5 minutes. It can change in 10 minutes. It just depends on where you're at. So there's some pictures of the aura. This is a really great slide that you have up right now because it shows the whole spectrum of the chakras and the colors. And I was going to try to stay away from the whole chakra concept, but you can't really talk about color without mentioning the energy centers, whether you call them, again, chakras or vortexes or energy centers. It doesn't matter how you label them. There is scientific information now to back up scans of the body that show specific energy centers that pulsate.
Yes.
And Valerie Hunt, on the top of this slide, was an amazing researcher who was at UCLA back a while ago. She has been passed a while now, but she was an amazing researcher into the field of energy frequency, and she used color. So if you want to go to those the slides of the aura photos, those are great, and we'll just
address really them are very great.
A little bit. So I have an aura photo machine. I bought it back, oh my gosh, a while ago, long time ago, because I thought, oh my gosh, this is going to be my next new thing, and it's going to be so cool and fun. Well, I played with it and loved it. People were just crazy to come over and have their aura photo taken. And it is super fun, and I still use it. I still play with it, but I call it a play tool more than a diagnostic. It's not a diagnostic tool in any way, shape, or form. And it's because, as you said, your aura changes, and it can change in a heartbeat based on your emotional state, based on your physical state. So there's a lot of factors that play into your aura photo. It's not just one time set in stone. here's your photo and here's who you are, kind of a thing. This is a perfect example. Let's stay with this one for a minute of what I'm talking about. You can see the one on, I don't know who's right or left, but there's one that has a more full aura with the chakras, if I want to call them that today, that are more in line. That's the opposite. Yeah, that's that one. The one that you were just on with the energy centers that are more erratic, that are not perfectly in alignment.
Mhm.
That is a photo of an aura of someone taken before we did a crystal bowl healing with them.
Wow.
I was working with a woman who had a metaphysical shop, and she had all these wonderful bowls that I've now since purchased, but and we played with them once a week, every week, for 4 weeks with this person. And the first picture was their chakra centers out of alignment. And even if you look at the picture of the aura itself,
Right here, all the
it wasn't as full. And you could see even on, so if you're looking straight at it, you're actually looking at a reverse image. What you're looking at on our, as we look at this picture, our left is actually the right side of the person. So it's a reverse image. And what you're seeing is, if you look at, this person, there's actually, and I can't point to anything because I don't have control. My yellow is is imbalanced. I don't have control.
You're doing really well on this lack of control thing. So
oh my God. No, I'm all about my crazy out of control yellow. So I have to keep it in check.
The yellow is so small here compared to
actually that's really lovely. It's
blue.
pretty, it's pretty great. So if you start, we can just kind of explore this a little bit. The red is the root chakra. You can barely see it. It's very dull.
Yeah.
And that just means that their power center for the red, and again, every energy center actually has every color in it. It's just that there's a dominant color in certain centers. And the dominant color is what is shown through this aura photography. So the root, you would want it to be a bolder red, stronger, solid. The actual shape of it looks good, but it's muted. So I would say maybe they're not really feeling safety, security, stability at the moment, in really feeling their power center in that way for that one. Then you move up to the sacral chakra. If we again want to refer to them as chakras, the orange energy center, since we're supposed to be dealing with color here, that is so out of alignment. You'd think bigger is better, not at all, because sometimes you're just putting so much energy out through a certain color that you're losing it. You're losing your power in that particular frequency and vibration. And this particular center is really all about emotions. It could be a lot about trauma. So you think of the center of the body, the area of the body that contains a lot of your organs. This one actually is the element of water. It's all about the color. Orange relates to the moon, and water and emotions, but a lot of traumas that have taken place. For example, if someone has had physical abuse or sexual abuse, a lot of times this sacral chakra, emotional abuse, huge, will be out of alignment. And orange, which most of us stay away from the color orange. I would never have bought an orange chair 15 years ago.
Yeah, well, I just realized I have my orange.
Love it. I love it. But now I embrace that orange. I love orange. Orange is so necessary because there's so much that goes on in that compartment of the physical body. You have so many organs in that area of the body. And that's just it's not just the organs, but, and again, I'm just throwing random teeny bits of information out there. But this would be a person that really needed more balance in that particular area. So we would bring in more of the color orange. The yellow looks pretty good, actually. Again, you'd want that color to be a little stronger.
Yeah, it's a little weak.
But it's pretty good. So we would leave that alone. Maybe they're, they're feeling pretty good about, their purpose or their self-empowerment or, maybe they're focused on something. Yeah.
Pretty balanced there.
But that looks pretty good. Now the heart chakra, which is interesting because you would typically want to see a more green, emeraldish green, I would say. Now this one is more of a turquoise, which is interesting. And it's huge. And if you look, there's like a 3-dimensional cube around that.
It is right there.
So that means their heart chakra is massively, massively open. Now, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, that would have to be something you would discern through an interview with that person. You'd have to find out what they've got going on and where they're going. The idea is you still want to bring that into balance, because maybe they're just pouring out their heart to somebody else. They're giving, and not receiving. And that could be a clear example of that. The chakra that's the most in alignment is the one that's right above it, which is your throat chakra. It's all about communication. So clearly whatever was going on with them too, and that self-empowerment piece that comes in with that yellow, there's something good going on. So they're doing something that's in the communication area maybe, because that's all about really being in your integrity, your truth, living your truth, communicating your truth. So there was some good, I would say there were, if I had to pull out strength from this particular picture, that would be the biggest strength right there.
That would be it.
Whoa, the indigo. Indigo is, whoa, it's off the map. It's like, what's going on with that intuition there? Because if I had to give the indigo color one matching word for color, I would go with intuition.
I would too.
The blue, I would have gone with communication, and of course the heart, love, if I'm backtracking a little here, and we already talked about the others, but the indigo. So intuition, there's something going on there. Maybe not trusting intuition, maybe getting way too much intuitive hits and not knowing how to control it.
Understand.
And then the crown chakra, super open, really strong. And that could be just way overpowering. So this person is probably dreaming out there, not grounded, not tethered to the earth, I would say at this point in time.
Definitely.
And then you can see the darkness around where the shoulders would be. So there's something going on there. And I would say that you could relate to a physical issue. Something physical going on around the shoulders, maybe feeling pretty burdened. And it also goes to, then we talked about, if you're looking at this image, you've got something going on the right side, which is actually, we're looking at the left. So then the left side is where your cursor was just at, where that bright light is.
Yeah, this one.
That's the right side. That's what's going on outside of you, externally. The left side is what's coming into you, in maybe intuitive hits, your downloads from the universe, which we get and a lot of times we ignore. I would want to see that light coming on the opposite side. I would want to see, oh wait, no, I'm backwards.
This would be the left. This would be the right.
Yes. Okay, wait, no, I'm not backwards. So this is beautiful. This is, I'm sorry.
No, you're doing fine. No,
I'm visually challenged today. Yeah, so what I'm looking at on the right is actually the left. Yes, right. Oh, this is so beautiful, because that's your divine intuition. That's that white blob of wonderful crown chakra being so open. This person is getting bombarded with some intuition, some hits. The divine is saying, let me in. That's what I would interpret that as. And again, I'm not a super pro. I just play. This is play for me.
Well, it's interesting because this now is in alignment, and look at how all of the, because even down here you've got white, and then you've got kind of a bluish white and then white. But here you can see it's all intermixed.
You want alignment. And that's the idea. You want the symmetry of the color when you're looking at an aura. At least that is my perspective. Even this brings in a little bit of lavender, which is kind of cool, because that's a higher vibrational color. They call that a course I took called oh my gosh, I can't even think of the course. That was so long ago. Anyway, it was using a tool called the Lumalite. And we learned about the colors that were called spectral colors. So you have your visible spectrum, and then you have your beyond the visible spectrum, which were spectral colors. And that's lavender is one of those, a very higher vibrational frequency. So even if you look at this, the colors are it's more of a unity.
Yes.
You know, within this, there is not the indents in the aura. It's much more solid. And then you have those chakras that are just so beautifully in alignment and much more beautifully symmetrical too, which just means that the energy centers are just more balanced. And it doesn't mean that, you know, they're all just, that one isn't stronger than the other at this point. It just means that they can tap into those much easier now, any of those power centers, any of those energies, that they would be able to ground, feel stable, feel secure, to move up through the chakra. In yoga, they would call this the Sushumna channel, and they would call it the Kundalini energies would be rising up through this Sushumna channel a lot easier, and that you would have the ability to have much more creative power with this particular aura than you would with the one that's all crazy wacko on the other side.
I think on this one, you can see if you've got imbalance in your life, you're definitely seeing it right here.
Oh, clearly. And the bright, that bright pinky color that I say, oh, how pretty. No, that is like massively stressed out human.
And it's not in alignment. I find it interesting that you've got this, there's so much activity going on in that crown.
Again,
it's not in a positive way.
No, it's not.
A lot of blue. It shouldn't be blue. It's a lot of.
No. I would say that they were struggling with, and I know I was working with a person, so struggling with the intuitive hits, with trusting intuition, using the divine channeled information that's coming in big time into the body. I mean, this is just a visual of the electromagnetic energy that we radiate that is coming into us.
Right.
And we see it. The only reason that we see it in color is because someone took their genius and was able to create a program that took the vibration of each of the colors, was able to code it and put it into a program in a computer that was able to then show it to us in an image that we can relate to via color.
And the thing I love about that is even here you can see, I'm pointing to the screen like you all can see me. Here you can see again out of balance. And this tells you a lot about what's going on in your life. And if you understand the colors, then you're going to be able to see all of these imbalances. Again, look at the perfection and how all of these colors were all mixed. And
I haven't really done justice to the colors in explanations today, but to understand the colors is just such an enormously powerful thing. And again, I started to get confused for a while, and I had to step away because I would read one book and they would say, well, you know, the sacral chakra, the orange color represents joy and passion. And I read another book and they would say, well, the yellow is really about joy. and red is really about passion. And so it was like, whoa, what, wait, you can't have all these different meanings. Like one book can't say one thing and another. Well, they can, and they do.
Yeah, they do.
Again, you bring in to each color what you really need. Although I would find that maybe 9 out of 10 books were almost identical in the information. And then there would be the one that was a little different. So you just kind of had to go with what was, you know, majority kind of rules thing. And again, your own body tells you what that color does for you. It's really fun to play with color. I got so into it, I bought all Fiesta wear. I don't know if anyone's familiar with Fiesta wear, but it's all really colorful. My whole family got addicted to Fiesta wear. It's super fun. Yeah. So
because color is cheerful. Color can really work on your moods. Seriously.
yeah.
Again, you got the dualities, right? Either positive or negative.
Yeah. So when I get up, I pull out a mug. If I want to really feel like, oh, I need to be heart centered, I'll go for my green mug.
Yeah.
If I want, okay, I need to focus today, focus, I grab my yellow mug. If I know I'm going to be doing something communicative,
yeah,
I grab a blue, or this one is more of a turquoise, but this turquoise really represents a way to be able to communicate from a heart center, because there's the color combination from the blue and the heart that comes into the turquoise. It's, about speaking. It helps with concentration over speech, heart-centered speech, self-expression. There's that just heartfelt self-expression, I guess. So hopefully today feels heartfelt self-expression because I have my mug.
Well, we didn't get any questions, but I hope that people can really understand that color is very influential in our life. It's a vibration that even if we don't feel it or understand it, it's still vibrating. And so the way to learn it really is because color will affect you in its own unique way. And so just because somebody likes a certain color or dislikes a certain color doesn't mean you have to, because you're going to have your own resonance to that color. So paying attention to the colors that you like can tell you a lot about where even you are in your thinking process.
And actually, though, if you were to go in the different direction of paying attention to the colors you don't like.
Exactly. Thank you.
And maybe looking at your wardrobe or your rooms and saying, okay, what color do I leave out? Where do I maybe need to be more in a balance? And then Google the color and see what it means.
Well, even look at your chakras, because that's telling you right there. Because like for a long time, I would reject orange to almost every level. I hated anything orange.
Me too.
Now I understand why. It makes completely clear sense now to why I would do that. Yeah. I used to love red, and now I'm going more into the blues and, the purpley colors, because that's where my focus is. That's where I'm more focusing, is that part of my my energy chain, my meridian system. So
there's a couple of fun things, and I know we're out of time here. And we just kind of bounced all over, which I knew would happen because that's, where our brains kind of ping. And we didn't have a set plan. So I was like, okay, well, we'll just pull in whatever. If you go to the one that's maybe more in the middle, called Color Quiz.
I did see that one.
Yeah, so this is fun. And I actually checked out, I went through and looked to see if it was still there. It's a kind of a fun thing. It's super short, of just a few questions. And it's interesting because it really does share with you the shadow side of the colors that you've chosen. So I know at one point I took it, and it will change based on where you're at emotionally. And I took it, gosh, a while ago, and it's like something about, well, this person likes to get their way, and if they don't, then blah blah blah. And I'm thinking, well, oh my God, that's my yellow power receptor being in control. And I had to laugh, although I didn't want to hear what it said. It was amazing. So this is something I really highly recommend that everybody just check it out. Colorquiz.com. It's super fast, super short, but it's amazing how powerful these online tools are. There are other tools. There's a thing called 16 personalities, and it's not specific to color, but it's very colorful in the presentation, and they take and relate the colors just via the graphics to personality, temperament traits, like the old Myers-Briggs, Kersey-Bates stuff. It's another. They're just phenomenal tools for self-discovery.
Wow.
And that's what color is great for. You can really gain so much insight about yourself through color.
And the thing that I love about color is it shows you to not take life so serious. It's not taking everything so serious, because color is not serious.
Playful.
Color is fun.
Crayola.
Yes, it's an amazing, it brightens you up or can help you to be more mindful. It's just, color is just life, and using color in a way to grow and understand who you are, then
Yeah.
what a better way to do it.
I mean, that's how I started the presentation when I first originally created it, was rainbow. I mean, have you ever seen anybody react to a rainbow negatively? I've never, ever once heard somebody negatively react to a rainbow. We're in awe of a rainbow.
We are.
Yeah.
And I really love this one too.
Oh,
I love the colors there. It's so pretty. But again, I'm going to go back to, from my heritage, from my roots, eat all the colors in here.
Yes.
So
again, check out the rainbow diet.
I will. That's going to be amazing.
Food. I had a couple other resources about food. Eating the rainbow. It's amazing what that can do.
Yeah. I mean, if we ate the rainbow in our diets every day, as much as we could, disease, aches, pains, weight problems, all of that would go away. It's when we go out of that spectrum, that vibrational resonance, that's when we get into problems. So the wonderful thing about the Rainbow Diet book is that they actually have a bunch of questionnaires based on each color, and they're really wonderful. Not just, do you like red? Do you like blue? Really great questions in this book that really help you to discern, wow, yeah, this is where I'm lacking in a particular color. But really, again, it's not the color, it's the vibration. It's spooky how much it will relate to things that are going on in your body if you take the time to start looking at color. Yes. The correlation is amazing. It really is. I hope that this has been informative to people. And I know that we just scratched the surface. I mean, this hour went by so fast, and we barely even got into really the meat of the vibration of color and the resonance of color and how it influences our life and really does play a big part. I just love the auras that you did and how it showed how when we're just going through life, how our chakras or our vortexes, our power centers, can be so out of whack, out of, daily activities in our life, frustrations or problems that we have. So be mindful of that. That's what I would say. Be really mindful of that, because you really are affecting your inner being. I love this. Thank you for sharing this time with me. Thank you. I know we bounced around and that, but I thought we did. I really do feel we didn't get to really get into the colors per se today, but it was fun to talk about. I want to have you talk to people about the beautiful bowls that you have behind you. I know that our time is up, but they've just been sitting there and I've been wanting to ask you. No, so we will have to, let's see, what color? Pick a color. Well, that yellow one has been calling to me. Okay. Yeah. Well, let's just close with the yellow. Okay, close with the yellow. Thank you. Yeah, there's some really wonderful meditations you can do with color too. Maybe we'll have to do that. We'll actually just play with color meditations and color resolutions and things. I usually go to the crystal show in Quartzsite every year, and I didn't go this year. I didn't have time, but last year there was this color, the bowl, people there. Clearly my brain just turned off. But anyway, they had these crystal infused bowls that I had not really played with. I'd seen them, but I had not played with them before. I mean, we're talking thousands of dollars per bowl. They were so angelically amazing. It took every ounce of my courage to walk out of there and not buy one of them, because I didn't want to spend $2,000. I think the one I fell in love with was $2,500 or something. Yeah, they are. You do that. They can be crazy. I chose this set because of the color, beautiful connection. But yeah, you can really go crazy. Bowls they're healing. They're beautiful. My family loves them. They've gotten to where, oh, let's play the bowls. Yeah, it's pretty
pretty great stuff. They've really picked up on my color, my fascination for color, and it's been fun to
Well,
see
you have
them.
a lot of fascinations. One day I'm going to have you on and we're going to talk about astrology and something that a friend of ours have been talking about, which is North and South nodes.
Yes.
And
another new fascination. Too many fascinations.
I know. Hey, you know what? What is life if you can't be interested in learning about new things?
Well, so, speaking of that, and I know time is gone. Time is done. We're just chatting. We just chat. I was listening to a podcast about Saturn.
Yeah.
Saturn returns.
Yeah.
And in the second Saturn return, her premise was that if you've done the work in the first Saturn return and thereafter, that the second Saturn return is more about play. And I'm like, yes, bring it on, because that's where I am. And that's what the color comes back to for me. So today was just a reawakening of my color.
Yeah.
And it never goes away, clearly.
Right.
Color fascination hasn't gone away, but it's really bringing back that passion again to share it with others.
And I hope that people got a sense of how important color is, because I feel like we
I mean, I really feel like I didn't serve
no. You know what? We did exactly what we needed to happen for today, and I totally believe that.
Yeah.
So,
so that's the negative side of yellow.
Exactly.
I really needed to not play that yellow bowl anymore.
Play the blue one now before we go.
Self-doubt is the yellow. It's the shadow.
Play the blue now.
Yeah, I will.
So you can balance out the yellow.
Blue.
Yeah, the blue. We need the blue now. Oh, listen to that. Oh, it made my heart sing.
Oh, I've got it moving here. Oh, my husband dusted for me. He moved all my bowls. Oh, there's something in here. That's what's keeping it.
Funny.
All my little cards with the notes on them. I'm like, where did those go? There we go. Okay, now we're rolling. Okay.
That's one of my.
Giving me some fits. See, look at this.
It is
fascinating.
It is.
Yeah. So that's interesting because blue is about communication, and I was a little frazzled about being able to clearly communicate my messages today.
And I think you did a fabulous job. And that's one of the beauties of live shows, is that you're going to go where you're going to go. And I think we covered some, I'm glad that we went into the auras, because it really shows people.
The auras are so fun.
Those are your meridian system. That's your balancing system. That's your navigation system. And if that's off, and it all has to do with choices in life and power in life and decisions we make. If we're off on those.
They really are accurate. They're really depictive of what is going on in a physical body. It's amazing.
Right. So important information. So if you guys have any questions, I know this is overtime, but hey, it's my show. I can do what I want. Right. I am respectful of everybody's time, but we went over. If you have questions, please put in the chat. Again, if you have been chatting, I have not figured out how to keep everything up to date yet. This is a new system for me. But I will be going back and checking your comments. So please put comments in the chat area, comment area, and we will get back to them. And I so appreciate your time and honor the fact that you came on and you did this with me and shared your knowledge with everybody.
Well, it's fun, and you have a great knowledge base yourself, so it's lovely.
Thank you. All right, everybody. Oh, stay positive in the light of what we're going through right now. Nobody fight, because everybody's on a side. What is supposed to happen will happen. So please educate yourself, make your own choices. Don't give your power away to anybody. and be nice to each other. Some of the chats and things that I've been seeing, even on Facebook, it's like, really, you guys?
Yeah, bring in green, people.
Be great. Yeah, be kind to each other. We're not going to always agree. We're always going to have our own opinions.
Yeah.
Just let other people have their own opinions too. So
Yeah.
be nice.
Get green.
Green, green, green. Breathe in green, eat green.
Breathe
Green,
green.
green. Thank you, Denise, for being here with me. It was wonderful.
Thank you. It was fun.